All right, well, welcome to today's webinar. This is part of our series, Growing Pains, how to alleviate pains with a growing business. Today's focus is tech tools that ultimately affect your bottom line. My name's Ellen. I am an account manager here at Keystone Click.
Good day, and my name is Gleb. I am one of the web developers here at the company.
Yeah, we're excited to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Today's agenda is really broken down into two parts. So for the first half of this webinar, we're really going to get into some of the details of our favorite tools. And then the second half of the webinar, we're going to get into tech that we've really invested in. And give you a preview of how we evaluated what's worth investing our agency time and effort, and what's really paid off in doing so. To get started, we're going to give into this toolkit. And this is not an exhaustive list of everything that we use. There's so much tech online, but we wanted to make sure we're highlighting the tools that we love and we think any team can easily adapt. We want to make sure our followers know about it. Starting with design tools. Sometimes it can seem like creators and our clients are speaking two separate languages. So I'm going to let Gleb talk a little bit about Figma.
Yes, so Figma is a tool that can be installed as a software or accessed online. And it is a design tool that allows for rapid design mockups and creating of wireframes to show the client what the front-end user experience will be. And then sometimes you can make it a little reactive just to show the whole UI, UX workflow of how the user would interact with the website.
Yeah, we really like Figma too. It's not different versions of the same document. That's where things can get lost or confused for either the client or for our team. So those real-time updates too, it instantly lets the client know and we're all on the same page.
The second design tool, which I found to be very useful and to save costs, is something that is called as GIMP. GIMP stands for GNU Image Manipulation Program, and it's an open source software. And it functions in a similar way as Adobe Photoshop. And for like any simple tasks that color changing, small adjustments to images can be done with any cost of paying for Photoshop. And once you become really good at GIMP, you can actually start writing scripts to it to adjust it to however you want to do, manipulate almost the same as Photoshop, but that it has a little bit higher entrance level, like on the technical side.
Yeah, we use Photoshop here at Keystone Click, but we've really been leading into GIMP for quick access. And like Gleb mentioned, we really predict that it's going to be a bigger tool. The last design tool we wanted to give a shout out to is Canva. I'm sure you've heard of Canva. They have over 100 million users. And we just wanted to let you know that we use Canva at Keystone Click here too. Of course, we have other design software, but we don't have to work harder to work smarter. We love Canva with their templates or even branding guidelines for our clients. And even this presentation is on Canva. We really like it. We've seen it grow so much in its features, and I don't think it's going to slow down. If you have any design tools that you love and used in your agency, we would love to hear about it too. We're always excited to look into new options.
Yeah, and this section is going to be primarily me talking, and it's going to be focusing on specific dev tools that we have found very useful during the development process. And the first subject I need to talk about is definitely GitHub. You've probably heard of it, and GitHub is an internet hosting service, which is works on the principle of Git. And it is useful for version control of a project and to keep track of who made changes to a code base and to overview overview it before you push those changes to a live site. So it's very, very good for making sure that we know exactly who did what and when.
Yeah, I think you're wearing a GitHub shirt, Gleb.
I am good merge, yes. Now, the second subject I need to talk about is what we call as CSS compilers, and those are very useful tools for stylizing the website or website components. So we probably all heard of CSS, but CSS compilers, they're kind of most like an extension of that to make it more productive and produce a result faster. And those are like less files and SAS files, and they're the basis of such CSS frameworks as Bootstrap and Bulma. So once you write it all out in a very organized and a little bit different method than CSS would be, the compiler would run through, compile it to minimize CSS file, and in the end, takes up less space in the server once you push the project live.
Awesome. Do you have a preference over Bootstrap or Bulma?
I personally prefer Bulma for one simple reason. It is because everyone uses Bootstrap. So a lot of sites will look the same. So at least
Okay.
Bulma looks a little bit different.
Awesome.
And then the third is a very necessary tool for development is what is known as IDE, or Integrated Dev Environment. And those are like code editors, which have a little more tools available for like debugging and specifically made for specific language, such as Virtual Studio and PHP Storm. Those are what are called integrated dev environments. Now, VS Code is actually more of a code editor, which can be kind of finessed to act like an integrated dev environment. But what is really nice with VS Code is that it has a lot of modules that you can download and install and do a specific task that you need for that specific project, or help you out at least.
Awesome.
And then definitely not the least, but the last subject we're going to be talking about, it is known as ESLint. So it's part of usually integrated IDE or text editor that it was once you're done, you can run the command and it will check your code base to make sure you don't have any unused variables or some functions you declared which don't do anything. So you can just remove them. So it kind of helps you minimize some of the space that takes up by some custom functions or such subjects like that.
Yeah, I believe our whole team uses ESLint, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. And our last tools we're going to go into is about just productivity in our agency in general. I have this quote from Bill Walton: winning is about having the whole team on the same page. That applies to agency life too. Some of the tools I wanted to highlight was LastPass, which I'll let Gleb talk a little bit more about.
Yeah, thank you. So what is LastPass? It is a software as service, or also known as SaaS, and it is an application that you access online and install on your browser, and it allows you to create more secure passwords, which are randomly generated. And then once you log in, it will store your login for that specific website into what they call as a vault or a repository, which will store it securely. And when you create an account, it doesn't actually store your password at all, like decrypted. So unfortunately, you cannot recover, but that also helps to makes it more secure to store your passwords on there.
Yeah, I really love LastPass since we've adopted it. It's a lot like Google Password Manager, except you have the ability to choose to share with either the whole team or specific team members. So no more digging through big books, looking for passwords that are outdated. If someone has the correct password, they can update it automatically. So everybody on the team is on the same page. So just from a productivity level, it's been huge and such a time saver. The next is Dropbox. I'm sure you've heard of Dropbox, but we wanted to highlight this because we found it's the best for client access. Just their ease of use with the link sharing into the folders. You don't have to worry too much about permissions, although you do have the ability to set those permissions. So just ease of use for our clients. Dropbox has been amazing, and just their storage size too. We don't have to worry about loss of quality. Google Workspace, of course, you've heard of Google Workspace. We use it for everything internally here at Keystone Click. The big takeaway is to really hone and own what you decide at your workplace to use. I know in the past and at other agencies, you can use a plethora of OneNote through Microsoft Office. You can use Google Docs, Word Docs, and at the end of the day, it just gets messy and you end up wasting time of looking for things. Their search bar is really easy to navigate. I never have a problem finding what I'm looking for. And another big reason we love Google is because it's so applicable to other resources. We actually have it integrated with our project management system, which means files can be so easily found either from the Google Workspace or from our project management system. Which brings us to teamwork. I can't talk about productivity without talking about teamwork. It is our PMS system. We live and breathe in teamwork, and we just highly recommend it to anybody who might be looking for a new system at their workplace. We do everything from high level, project-based to time tracking, and even reporting and our financial goals per project or as a whole as an agency. It's a really great tool. Let me know if you want more information on teamwork.
Well, so now that we've talked through some of the easier and like simple tools that we use day-to-day basis, we also really would like to talk about some technology we really invested our time in and have become a better agency because we spend that time to learn it.
Yeah, I'm going to start with some of the tech we've really invested in from a marketing standpoint. The first being GA4. I'm sure you've heard a lot of talk about this. Universal Analytics is ending, I believe, July 1st this summer. It's coming up. So we have to get with it. And I really like how much time and investment we here at Keystone Click have put into learning about GA4. I just wanted to break down what we've done to tackle this big change. And the first was to get on board with the event-based tracking system. So unlike Universal Analytics, the new take with GA4 is a lot more holistic of a view. For example, like bounce rates going away. We're not reporting on how many people just instantly clicked on your site or clicked away, but instead, how long a specific user looked at a specific page or even specific content on that page and for how long. The world of new insights we're going to get from that knowledge is pretty astounding, and we're really excited about it. So with this new data, we've also been working on new reporting and new analysis. It's such a big change that we've really invested our time into learning what those capabilities are and what our clients are going to be most interested in learning about. And speaking of clients, we've also invested in resources for our clients for this big change. Whether they know a little or a lot about analytics, they do know that they're coming to us to know about their customer base. And with this new knowledge, we want to be able to tell our clients how this new technology is different and changing, and what those benefits are going to be moving forward. If you are interested in learning about what materials we have for our clients too, feel free to contact us. We're really eager to share during this big transition. The next one is Meta. This has also been new and ever-changing, and it's just so crucial for our clients. We've really taken the time to understand the new rules and guidelines for paid content. especially even like politically, things can get flagged so much more easier. And that's led us to reviewing our monitoring process. We feel very comfortable with paid advertisement on Facebook, but taking that time to step back and review that process has really helped us ensure that we are up to date with Meta Business Suite.
All right, so now we went through J4 and Meta. We're also going to be happy to talk about some technology that we might have developed while working on projects, or at least took time to learn about. So some of the in-house built solutions that we have to come up with during our time was, very importantly, it was content migration, because our two main flagship content management systems we utilize are WordPress and Drupal. And whenever the client wants to switch from Drupal to WordPress or WordPress to Drupal, just migrating content takes a very long time. So for one of our clients, we developed a method to convert Drupal content to WordPress by pulling the SQL database and manipulated the stored data with Python programming language and one of the libraries that is available for it, known as pandas. And then we would format it into a CSV file, which then we could upload to the WordPress site so it can be configured in the correct manner, because Drupal and WordPress store their data very differently. Like there's nothing that is the same. So we had to adjust for it, and at first it was a very slow process, but as we do more and more of those, it is becoming much more easier process and more cut and dry in a way.
Yeah, and we really, like Gleb said, WordPress and Drupal are our powerhouses, and they both serve different clients, different benefits. So as we have our clients change and grow and their business grows and their needs change, having that ability to change and migrate to new sites that better benefit our clients, it's been huge. It's really exciting that we're able to do this very seamlessly now.
Yeah, it definitely helps speeds it up, because you don't have to put it in manually.
Right.
Now the second solution we came up with is something that we call as reusable components. That is because when we do different projects for different clients, create new websites, we realize that a lot of those sites share a lot of popular features, like an image box, a container for text and a little icon, something like that. So we just figured out that, like, why write it out again and again and again and make it reusable. This allows us to have more of an object-oriented programming in our process of developing websites, and just the library grows more as we go along, in our time working on projects.
And yeah, we do a lot of custom work for our clients. Websites can be such a reflection of a personal business. But this is just really adding to our capabilities and being able to show our clients to what we've done in the past, to not start from the bottom up. It's been really exciting for us.
Yes. And along with working on new websites, we also do have to maintain those websites and maintain some servers that we host them on. So this is where the next solution is to streamline the processes, is because when you do like same updates for Drupal sites or for WordPress sites, they're not specifically hard, they just can be very repetitive and mind-numbing. And sometimes you'll forget how to do it because you've been doing it all the time. So you'll be like, yeah, I can do this, no problem. But then you forget. So by doing so, we figured out that it would be easier to document the process of how we do those updates or maintain the server. So if it's like the same issue over and over again, you don't have to think too hard. You can just refer back to a document and just work on new projects that actually you need to spend time on.
Yeah, and it's been really great to that's documentation to evaluate processes. and just seeing rooms for improvement. So I think this is one of the biggest takeaways when you're looking at tech that evolves your bottom line, is what saves the mind-numbing repetitiveness of what you do every day.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this brings us to WP Engine. Speaking of things that make your life easier, we've been moving to WP Engine at Keystone Click, and we cannot speak enough about it. We're very excited about it. I'll let Gleb talk a little bit more.
Yeah, thanks. So what WP Engine is, it is a paid hosting provider for WordPress sites specifically. So we develop a lot of useful tools in-house that makes our day-to-day maintenance just easier. You can create new dev environments right on the server, so you can test it out, and if you like it, you can literally just push the changes there. We also create a plugin that helps you update your other plugins automatically. Sometimes it doesn't work out great because, you know, sometimes issues happen. That's just the nature of the job, but it's still a great source that's not too expensive to use, you know, how many clients we have on there right now. Just overall great speeds, and also cannot forget to mention their customer service. In case something does go wrong on your website, and especially a server-specific issue, you can get a response fairly fast from them, and they'll be able to help you out to resolve that issue that you have.
Yeah, even I can vouch for that. I am not a web developer by any means. Their customer service has been so helpful in the past. And it's just a really great partnership to have as a tech asset. All right. We're going to move into questions. Let me just open up our Q&A. All right. So I have a question about integrating AI. I'll say that we do have more content coming out from Lori Hybe, who is the owner of Keystone Click. So stay tuned, because we have been integrating AI tools throughout Keystone Click as of late, and we're really excited about that. And I know Gleb can talk a little bit about AI.
Yes. So for AI tools, I primarily do start to play around with more recently. And for the one which everyone knows about is ChatGPT. And I did use it before to just kind of review my code to see if it's up to standard. I never really expected to write code for me. However, speaking on that focus, there is a really specialized tool which is a trained AI model specifically for programming, known as GitHub Copilot. And that can be installed onto your Visual Studio Code application. And when you're working on something, it can help you speed up your process. Just to see like what you're trying to connect, what you're trying to work on. It will also reference some other public repositories to pull ideas from. So it's completely tailors almost specifically to you and the way you're thinking. So
Oh, that's so
still,
cool.
yeah, so like it's still very early on for me to learn about it, but so far the results have been amazing.
It's almost like a coding buddy, it sounds like. Awesome. All right. Well, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us. Again, my name's Ellen. Feel free to give us a call. I'm definitely near the phones. And you can always reach out to Lori or find us on our socials. If you have been following us in our webinar series, this will be available soon, along with a tip sheet that gives those tech tools that we've talked about and our evaluation process for what tech is worth investing in. Hope to see you soon. Thanks for joining.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.